Hey guys, I'm Lee from Lee Likes Music, the place to make music more meaningful. And in today's video, we're going to take a look at the top 10 facts about RatedR, Queens of the Stone Age's second album. So that's coming up. Number 1, album titles. RatedR has also been known as just R or even Rated X. And even before it had these names, it was also known as 2. That was the original title of the album. And there was actually a first pressing with a completely different artwork as well. It is really rare and it's super expensive. I haven't found any picture on Google of the album artwork or anything, but it was just astonishing to me to find out that it was actually called 2 instead of RatedR or Rated X. Number 2, new members. RatedR is actually the first album to feature bassist Nick Oliveri in the band. He used to play for Kyuss before as the bassist, so he has been a friend of Joshua Homme, the key member, for a very long time. And then you also have Mark Lanigan as an additional vocalist on this album, and he was also the former vocalist and guitarist for The Screaming Trees. Personally, I think that these guys actually add a whole lot of dynamics to this album. It just makes their vocals and their input just makes the album so much more stronger. Number 3, The Bad Trip. The song Monsters in the Parasol originally appeared on one of Joshua Homme's side projects, which is called The Desert Sessions, and it was reused and reshaped on this album right here, and it's actually a song about a bad trip that he had. So Josh was trying LSD for the first time, and he was doing it together with a friend, and then all of a sudden, when things really started kicking in, his friend's father and sister came home, and of course it all turned into this bad trip, which obviously was horrifying, and it turned into the lyrics of this song right here, Monsters in the Parasol. Number 4, Mocking the Label. The title and the subtext of this album was actually meant as a jab towards the record label Interscope, because Interscope was always very persistent in their message to the band about how the content of this album was very controversial. The RatedR mark was actually ironically implemented into the artwork and made it possible for them to actually not have a parental advisory sticker on the album, so they could basically sell it without it. Among the pages of the accompanying booklet in the album, you could also look through, and for every single song there was a warning, much like the warnings that you'd find on the back of a DVD for parents. Number 5, the reissue. In 2010, there was the 10-year anniversary of this album, and to celebrate this, they actually put out a reissue of the album. It contained B-side recordings, it contained covers, there was also these live songs from Reading Festival back in 2001, I believe. Ode to Clarissa, You're So Vague, Who'll Be the Next in Line, and also Never Say Never are some amazing tracks, amazing covers, and it's absolutely worth buying the reissue just to get these songs. I don't think the live versions are all that great, but that's just me. But if you're a hardcore fan of Queens of the Stone Age, I would highly suggest that you invest money in buying the reissue of this album because it's amazing. Number 6, The Weird Label. The reason why Queens of the Stone Age made the decision to sign with Interscope to begin with was because Joshua Homme mainly thought the label had signed so many weird bands such as Nine Inch Nails, Marilyn Manson, Primus, and there are certainly many others as well. Josh and probably the band members as well felt at home with this label because they felt like, oh, if they signed these bands, then they would tolerate the weirdness that Queens of the Stone Age had to offer as well. And yeah, I'm not sure if Interscope still is with Queens of the Stone Age today. I'm not quite sure, but I think they made a good buck off of signing them nonetheless. Number 7, inspirations. Obviously, you can still hear some of that crunchy fuzziness that you would hear on a typical Kyuss record on some of the songs on this album, but at the same time, this album is so much more varied compared to Queens of the Stone Age self-titled album or any of the Kyuss records. You have these very punky, sharp-edged songs like quick and to the pointless and tension head, psychedelic pop rock songs like Autopilot and In the Fade. And then you have these quirky, weird songs that just really can't be defined at all, like Leg of Lamb, I Think I Lost My Headache, Monsters in the Parasol. So yeah, it's an unbelievably versatile album, and it works. Number 8, no rules. One of the values that Joshua Homme implemented into Queens the minute he started the band was the fact that he didn't want any rules. He wanted to be very open-minded about what he wanted to create. Josh often explains how, while being in Kyuss, everything was very strict. It was like a religion where everything had to be in one sense, in one way. But because of this freedom that Josh leaded with when he started Queens of the Stone Age, he was welcoming so many different new styles, so many new inspirations, also musicians into his jamming sessions and also the recordings. And in general, they just became more intuitive and open-minded. And I think that is the reason why this album is hitting home so hard. It's so versatile, yet very emotionally grounded, and yeah, I just love it. Number 9, The Worst Concert. While touring to support this new album, RatedR, back in 2001, they played what a lot of fans and also the band members considered to be their worst concert ever. It was played at the Rock AM Ring back in 2001, and there's actually a recording of this concert, so I'll leave a link below if you want to check it out. Anyways, it was just so bad that all the band members, or almost all of the band members, Mark Lanegan, Nick Oliveri, and also Joshua Homme, made a tattoo on them, tattooing the date of when it all happened, just so they wouldn't forget this horrible event of playing at Rock AM in 2001. I mean, it might be something that people are laughing about like years later. Probably the band members, Joshua Homme's laughing at that event years later, I think, but it was horrible then and there. They had sound problems, their mics didn't work, there was a lot of feedback going on through the speakers, there was like smoke coming out of nowhere for no good reason. Like, man, that must have been a very tough experience, or like a very awkward experience at least. Number 10, Becoming a Leader. There was a rumor and a belief that Joshua Homme never actually was adapt to the role of being a band leader, and RatedR was one of the steps in his path to becoming a leader of the band later on. Nick Oliveri, in one of the interviews that was done together with him, he actually said that he believed that the reason why he got in so many vocalists to front the band in addition to himself was because he didn't feel adequate. He didn't feel like he had found his style, his way of singing or performing. And Josh has actually said this himself. He is the guy who's sort of lurking in the shadows. He is the guy who's writing about his secrets. He's not the typical leader. But maybe he has become a leader, maybe he has learned to adapt to that role as he progressed through RatedR, Songs for the Deaf, and then eventually to Lullabies to Paralyze, where he did all the vocals himself. Who knows? But anyway, I love the versatility that is in RatedR and also later on in Songs for the Deaf as well. I think that was one of the big highlights of my listening experience, at least when it comes to Queens of the Stone Age. They had so many vocalists, they had so many sounds, and for some reason it all sounded so conformed, while at the same time it was so versatile. And I rarely see artists that are able to strike that balance in such a fine-tuned way as they did on RatedR, but also on Songs for the Deaf, of course. So yeah, that was basically the top 10 of RatedR. Thank you so much for watching, guys. If you'd like me to make more videos about Queens of the Stone Age, maybe another top 10 video about another Queens of the Stone Age album, then let me know in the comments below. If you also like to share, explore, and learn about rock music in general, then I highly suggest you click the red subscribe button below. Also make sure you hit that bell icon beside the subscribe button, because in that way you'll always get notified when I upload new videos to this beautiful place right here. Thank you again, hope to see you later, stay tuned, bye.